Spain grab a late winner to knock Portugal out of the World Cup and progress to the last eight. 91st minute winner from Moreno off the bench was enough to secure a 1-0 victory for Spain there over Portugal. And I have to say that's the World Cup dream over now for Portugal, for Ronaldo. We knew coming into he said after the Croatia game this would be his last World Cup. After this World Cup finishes for Portugal, whether that is he will be retiring from Portugal, and it seems to be that's what's going to happen now. That was seems like that was his last game. It is definitely his last World Cup game. So yeah, an absolute legend of the game. One of the greatest of all time. Some will argue the greatest of all time. Will be retiring, which is a shame. 6 World Cups, fantastic achievement, and I think this is a moment to for Portugal to reflect on the brilliance of Ronaldo, and just to appreciate how much he has actually done for them, how much he has achieved with them. But also, I think it's a time for Portugal to look beyond Ronaldo now. I think it's very much time to move away from Ronaldo, and they've got so much quality in that team, and to really build on without Ronaldo. But in terms of the game itself, it was always going to be a big game. Both teams were top players. Two of the teams that were heavily favoured in this tournament coming into it. Spain definitely slight favourites in this game, especially seeing as they have been the way better side so far in the tournament coming into the game. It always felt like it very much felt like it. I think most people was going for the Spain win, but although Portugal still had their fans, still had people that said they'd do it, and we did know on the day if Portugal turn up and play to the max of their ability, and they find the level that they've not had so far in this tournament, they could still do it. They're still capable, and it could still be a very, very good game on the day. And I think it was definitely close. It could have gone either way. It was just Spain had that cutting edge, and they were the slightly better side, Spain, but there really was not a lot in it. But fair play to them, they've got themselves through, and they still haven't conceded the goal. I believe there's a record now. I think it was 7 World Cup games they've gone without conceding the goal now. No goals conceded so far this tournament. The only teams that still have that record, and they're not short of attacking quality as well, as they showed against Austria. They can be clinical in front of goal. So yeah, real dangerous team, definitely one of, and probably will be some people's favourite in this tournament. They're definitely one of the teams that could well do it, could well go all the way, and they've proven yesterday beating the top side and shutting them out. Local rival as well. It's like an Iberian derby. The country's right next to one another, so there's always that rivalry there, and they've played it for a lot over the years. And sometimes we've seen cagey games like that, and games that have gone all the way. And it felt like it could be a game like that, either like a 1-0 either way, or even one that goes all the way to extra time and penalties. It felt like it could be that sort of game. We've seen those type of games before. We've also seen the high scoring clashes between the two as well. We had recently, obviously, that 2-2 in the Nations League final. It's always a great game when they play, and it's always in a real occasion, and it's always a very, very close game. Spain had the upper hand in the head-to-head, but that gap sort of lessened over the years for sure. And this was going to be one of the games of the round for sure, but it didn't have. This would be one of the games of the round for sure, but it didn't have an abundance of goals. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't maybe as good as some people thought it would be, but it was definitely very impressive from Spain in the way they got through in the end. But in terms of how the game started, it was very much, you could sort of see that both teams were going to sort of create chances, but also both, I thought, was cautious as well. I think both were cautious, not wanting to make a mistake early on, particularly Portugal. I think they could have pressed a bit higher. I think they could have really gone for it a bit more, but I do think they was very wary of Spain, and also aware of the fact that having Ronaldo on the pitch, they are limited with how much pace they can have up top, and it very much felt like their defence was able to keep him very quiet in that first half. Spain, I think he only had 6 or 7 touches or something, and I think this is where they are now with the Ronaldo figure. This is why I think it's time to look beyond that. And I have to say, Spain played the lineup that they've gone with so far, the lineup everyone expected, but Portugal, I knew they would go for this sort of lineup, but it's just, I think maybe they shouldn't have looked at changing it in this game. Gonzalo Ramos didn't even get on the pitch in this game, and that I thought was unbelievable. I think it's definitely, even if you're not going to start him, he's got to come on at some point in the second half. The two players that got him back into it against Croatia, the two players that turned it around for him, Rafael Leao and Gonzalo Ramos, they're both key to the win against Croatia, where they found a way back. And there's some controversy, obviously, over whether they should have gone through or not. Croatia, very hard done by, but neither of them. Leao come on quite late for Felix, and neither of them started, and Gonzalo Ramos not even getting on the pitch, and I find that a bit weird. We always knew Martinez would step down after this game as well, and that's confirmed as well. We knew after the World Cup he would resign for Portugal, so if they lost here, then he would resign. So that it would be interesting to see what manager they go for now. I'm not really sure what direction that's going to go. Jurgen Klopp's obviously got the Germany job after Nagelsmann walking away, so we'll find out soon, I imagine. But big time for Portugal, big decisions to make there, big decisions to make, and I think it is time to move past Ronaldo now. There's so much quality still in this in that team that they maybe aren't even getting the best out of because of the Ronaldo situation. I feel like they could have done so much more this tournament. Portugal has not necessarily been bad, but they've just not exactly thrilled people. And the group stage games were not great. Okay, beat Uzbekistan easily, but they had the draws against DR Congo and Colombia. Yeah, Colombia, a very good side. They've proven that. But into that next game against Croatia, they, such a tight game, and it was just one moment that won it for them. But again, real controversy there. It's coming to this game. Spain have been near perfect so far. All clean sheets, and found their form in front of goal as well against Saudi, against Austria. So it was always going to be a challenge for Portugal. And I think early on, both teams having chances in this game. It felt like Spain in the first half of the first period of the first half before the drinks break, it was very tight, but Spain maybe slightly on top. And Xavi should have scored his chance. He got to be hitting the target from there. That should have been a goal. I thought for sure that would be a goal. But yeah, there was quite a few shots. Portugal winning quite a few corners, not really making the most of. Quite a few shots that are getting blocked. Ronaldo not being able to make things happen the way he would used to. And going into I thought Portugal finished the second half better actually. I thought the Ronaldo sort of almost overhead kick almost would have been something quite special if that gone in. So they had these chances, Portugal. There's a few, Nuno Mendes had a good shot. There's quite a few positions they got in where it looked like, they might score here. And a few long shots going in from Spain as well. Not the biggest of chances, but certainly both teams having chances. And I think Portugal finished that half well. And I think going into the second half, I thought for a large period of the second half there was a better side as well. And it was a blow to lose Nuno Mendes. He was having a fantastic game. He was doing a lot of good long throws. He was getting into the right areas. He was putting a lot of balls into the box. I think he was making a lot of stuff happen for Portugal. At both ends of the pitch, a lot of the positive play was coming from him. And so it's a shame when they lost him. I think bring Leao on. Maybe Leao needs longer in this game really. I think, and I think Gonzalo Ramos not coming on was a mistake. But Portugal do not make the most of this period where they're dominating the game. They do not really go for it as much as they could, and I think they'll look back at that. That's where I think they'll look back at this game and think, that's where we lost it. We could have actually have done something a bit more here for the team we've got here. But yeah, then in the last minute, Spain, Moreno off the bench, first goal he scored in the while. He's obviously set up by Ferran Torres. He's through and he's able to break through and get themselves in front. Bit of added time, but from there it was always obvious Spain with their good defence would be able to see the game out, and that was it for Portugal. So yeah, Spain progressed to the next round. They're looking very, very strong. They're looking serious. They are the real deal. They go through, and Portugal go home. Round 16 exit for them, and yeah, disappointing overall. They'll be underwhelmed with the tournament. I actually thought they played quite well yesterday. They just lacked that conviction in front of goal. I think a bit more sharpness in front of goal. It could have been different for them, and I think like I say, it is time for a bit of a rethink now. But taking nothing away from Ronaldo, that was a big moment, a sad moment for football. The day he retires from international football, and the day he's knocked out of the World Cup, and that's the last World Cup game. So it's a shame, but when a legend retires, it's the same with Modric after that. The game where Portugal pretty much, the same thing happened to Modric, where against Portugal in the previous game. But that's how that game finished. 1-0 Spain, very good from them still in this tournament. Now to decide who Spain were playing the quarter final later on, we saw the clash between the United States of America and Belgium. A game that, of course, there was a lot of talk in the build-up, more than the football on the pitch. Balogun obviously getting sent off in that last game was controversial for many reasons. The foul was almost identical to a challenge Messi did on an Algerian player in their opening game that he didn't even pick up a booking for. Challenge was almost identical. That was a straight red for Balogun. I actually thought the challenge was a red card. I thought both challenges were a red card, but if they're going to be consistent with the refereeing in this tournament, surely it's a red for both players, regardless of who they they are. But yeah, he's sent off, and then in this game, it very much felt like that could be a major setback for the US without their main man up top. And of course, we saw some. It's never. I don't think it's ever a good thing when politics clash with sport. Trump stepping in, and well, it's quite clear something dodgy happened there with Infantino, the FIFA president, where now all of a sudden Balogun's allowed to play, red card suspended for a year, which isn't. I didn't even know it was a thing. That shouldn't really be a thing. It's just not really on really. And Belgium had every right to try and fight that, and apparently they had no grounds to appeal that, which doesn't think make any sense. And I don't like this sort of see this sort of stuff because it very much just does seem quite corrupt to me. But then there was talk as well that's saying that there was something else about it, that the US might have been found out for doing something wrong, that they might be kicked out, or in Belgium given the bye straight through, which I thought we don't even want that either. Really, don't want to be stolen the football matches at this stage. And I just think yeah, I wish it didn't happen. I wish that the people in positions of power like that would stay out of football and just because it's not. I don't agree with that really, and I think that very much a lot of neutrals wanted to see Belgium get the win after that, and I think it might have fired them up a bit as well, for sure. But yeah, really, really weird stuff. But of course, Balogun does start up front in this game, but then didn't actually make much of a difference to the US in this game in the end because he didn't really have an awful lot to say, to be honest, which I think a lot of people will be pleased with. Probably his most quiet game so far. But of course, game starts. Belgium very much on top, I feel like, towards the start. They take the lead. The US do grow back into it now, and what a free kick that was by Tillman. Fantastic goal. But then Belgium, it doesn't take them long to take the lead again. Trossard played a really, really good game, particularly in that first half. He's making it happen, and he gets the assist for that second goal. And I have to say, Trossard is looking very good. And what a signing Besiktas have got there. And they're making some serious moves, actually, Besiktas, in the transfer window. They've signed Trossard, but also it looks like they've signed Vlahovic as well. So big moves there. But Trossard certainly played a very, very good game for Belgium yesterday. So Belgium, very close game in the first half. Belgium slightly better, very good value for the lead though, 2-1 going into that second half. And the US definitely not in a bad position here. Only one goal behind, definitely could still do something. And they started that half well. And then ultimately, only just over 10 minutes into the half, keeper makes a horrendous mistake, gives Belgium a goal. At that point, they're 3-1 up. It's a much harder challenge for the US now. They're in a comfortable position, but you always thought if they can get one back, it could be interesting because there's been more late goals in this tournament than there ever has been. So, they did all right. They tried to force their way back into it. They had chances. They just couldn't find that goal, which would have gotten back into the game. And then, too many men committed forward in the end. Lukaku's able to finish the job off for Belgium. They win 4-1 in the end, which was a lot. People would have expected a much closer game, especially with Balogun on from the start. But no one didn't really actually have much to do to say in the game in the end. But yeah, good for Belgium. Certainly looking a lot better in that game. It took them to the 85th minute to get going against Senegal, and they're 2 goals behind. They're playing awful, but all of a sudden they found form in the last 5 minutes of that game. Got it to extra time, played a good extra time, and they played a really good game here as well. So it's hard to say slow starters, but they're certainly growing into this tournament. They seem to be finding their way through. They seem to have something about them. Big game in the quarter final now against Spain. We'll see how they do there. Spain, obviously, I've spoken about already, not conceded a goal. Obviously, knocked out Portugal yesterday as well. However, let's see. Let's see what happens. It's going to be an interesting game, I think. And the US, I thought were quite poor yesterday. I think I made a few key mistakes, which made it worse, especially with all the build-up around the game. I think it's not a great look. Belgium, I thought, were very, very strong yesterday. I thought they found the form in front of goal. The build-up play was always there in the group stages, but the cutting edge wasn't. But I think in this game it was different. You could see convincing winners in the end, 4-1 winners. So the quarterfinals are starting to take shape now. We see France against Morocco, England against Norway, Spain against Belgium, and now the winners tonight of Argentina, Egypt will take on Switzerland or Colombia. Could we see an all-American clash? Could we also have American clash or something else? It'll be interesting to see how it goes. There'll be interesting games then, them games. But yeah, very good from Spain again last night. Belgium certainly finding some form in this tournament now. So yeah, interest. More games coming up tonight, and more reaction will be to them will be coming up tomorrow.